Hello, my name is Israel, and today I'm going to be presenting the Java programming assignment that's going to demonstrate the use of generics to create a flexible, reusable system for handling data. Um, the project, I decided to be inspired by the TV show called Severance, and I organized it in these key components. So I have my demo app, and I have my search demo, as well as a generic container and three custom classes and a generic search utility that's going to provide search functionality. This is the generic demo. I tried to add as many uh, comments as I could. As you can see, this is going to be the scanner to scan an object to read the user input. Part 1 of the generic search demo. Uh, then we have the array of integers, which are right here, example of them. And then using the generic find index method to search for the value of 6. And here's the code. And I could search util, which is over here, the utility for it. And then it's gonna find the array. This is an example that I set up. I mainly did this just so I can have an idea when I was first starting to code it before I started to make it more of a you know going by my theme of being a TV show, Severance. So I decided to make this little test so check if it worked, and it did. Uh, then we have the example of the array of doubles, searching for the value of 3.3. There you go. And then the second part, this is going to be the user input. Now, this is what's going to print out. Essentially, we're going to have the user input and create a generic container. It's going to create a generic container for to store the employee's objects. Then we're going to loop, or sorry, we're going to consume the line character. And then of course the print with the string of how many employees would you like to add, which is going to be prompt over to the user. And then we have the loop to get the input for each employee. It's going to loop to get every single piece of information like the ID, the name, and the role. And then at the end, it's going to create a new employee object, and then it's going to add it to the container. Then it's going to print out all the employees in the container in this code. Then as you can see, this is the department input section. This is going to create a generic container to store the department objects. So it's going to be the same thing over here. We got the department department container, and then the generic container and department. So it's going to ask the user how many departments would you like to it's going to ask the user how many departments would you like to add, and then print it out with the scanner. Then it's going to loop again, but this time it's going to be asking for the ID for the department, the name, and the floor using an integer. And then it's going to create the department object and then add it to the container. Afterwards, it's going to print out all the departments stored in the container. Now this is the project input section. This is another one of the classes that is utilized. And then it's going to do the same thing. It's just going to ask the user how many projects he would like to add. And then it's going to loop to collect the details for each project. We're going to have the project ID, the name, and the budget, which is going to be a double. This is going to create a new project and then add it to the container. Afterwards, printing all the projects stored in the container. Now to retrieve the information, what I had to do is basically use the emp index to make the user type in an index or enter a digit for the index to retrieve an employee from the container. This is the code to retrieve the employee for the specified index. So if the employee decides to type in 1, and then it's gonna print out the employee that he's trying to look for, And then if it doesn't, then he's gonna get the invalid index for the employee. Now the sorting operation demo is gonna basically demonstrate sorting the employee container by employee name, and a comparator is provided to compare the employee's object based on their name attribute. And then we have the employee container with the dot sort in order to find that employee. And then it's going to compare between the employees in order to get the one that you're trying to sort. So it's basically after the code is done, it's going to basically print out this list, or after you find, the index, or yeah, the index for the employee he's trying to get from the retrieval operation demo. In the sorting operation, it's going to be automatically triggered, and it's going to give them a sorted list. But to do so, he compares the employees' IDs and values in order to get them in order. Alright, and that's the demonstration for it. I'm gonna go over the other additions that are in this code, or that help this code be made. This is the generic search demo, and I typed over here that this class demonstrates the use of generic search methods with find index, and it's going to test the method with arrays with different types like integer, string, and double. Same thing. I have the integer array test here. I have with the int array, and then using the generate search utility to find the index. And then I have the string array test here, and this is like an example. Like I utilize in the others in the when I was testing it. I did this example just to test it and see if it was working, utilizing the apple, banana, and cherry, and that's why over here it says banana. Now the double array test, this is another test I did, just trying to find that 3.3 double array in the array. So basically it's finding the index of 3.3 from this list. This is the generic container. Essentially, I typed it in over here. A generic data container, a class for storing objects of any type, provides two methods to add, remove, retrieve, and determine the size, sort, and print the items. And as you can see, this is the internal array list to store the items. And then we have the constructor for the generic container, analyzing the internal array list. Over here, it's going to add the item. As you can see, it's adding the item with items.add, and then the item. Over here is to remove the item. It does item. I did item.remove, and then the item. Now to retrieve, with the retrieve, and then the sort at the end with the collections sort, and the items in the comparison. This is just for the collecting or sorting the search demo at the end. And at the end we just got the printing. Now this is one of the classes that I utilize. This is for the project. In the series they have projects, so I decided to add that as a class in there. So it's just a unique identifier for the project. The project ID is going to be the name of it, and then the budget. And then we have the get the project ID, and then it's going to return the project ID. This is just basically asking the user for the information and then collecting it. So it's going to do the name of the project, then it's going to set it, the project budget, and then it's going to set it, and then it's going to return a basically a representation of that project that we just created with the project ID, name, and budget. Now department is the same thing. This is just a unique identifier for the same purposes of being based on a TV show. So the first one is going to be the name of the department and then the floor, which is a little bit different than the other one since the other one didn't have a floor. It just had budget. So it does the same thing. It's just setting the IDs. It's gonna try to get the ID from the user. It's gonna set it, get the name of the department, and then as well set it. It's gonna also do it with the floor number. It's gonna ask for the floor number, and then in turn set the number, and then at the end it's gonna return everything from the ID, name, and floor number. Employee, same thing. It is also a unique identifier that I utilize for the project. And it's just gonna go over the same things as project and department. It's gonna get a employee's ID, and then it's gonna set it. It's gonna get the employee's name and then set that name. Same with the employee's role, and then it's gonna set that role for the employee with a return of the ID, name, and role. Now this is just a generic search delete that I decided to code. This is going to provide a generic method to search for a specific value in the array, and if the value is found, the method returns its index. Otherwise, it returns -1. Um, like I said, like it's just gonna iterate over the array elements, and then it's gonna check if the current element matches the value, and then return the index when the match is found. And then when it doesn't find the value, then it's gonna return a -1 if it is not found in the array. Now I have run this, and this is the result of it. Um, this is the demo, the little practice test that I tried doing before actually, completing the whole thing. But this is the real, this is the actual theme, um, the theme demonstration of it, right? It's gonna ask the user for how many employees would you like to add. I decided to type in 5. Which actually I'm gonna redo it. Alright, but I'm gonna do 1. Alright, so this is just 1. I'm only gonna do 1 employee, and then we're gonna do 1, and then name. We're gonna do Mark. Oop. For the role, we're gonna do macro data refiner. And then I'm gonna add just 1 department, and I'm gonna make it 1. And then I'm gonna do data refinement and floor. Let's do 10. 1 and 1. I want to do cold hardware. Oh, I typed that wrong, but doesn't matter. Budget, let's say $20. And then we have our little container for the project with the project ID, the name, and the budget. That's the project that's in the container. Now, if I want to retrieve it, you see how I did an invalid one. And it did that invalid index for the employee. The reason why I did that is so that we can get the wrong answer, but it's also printing out the sorting. If I were to have more employees, it would have been sorted. The list would have been sorted, which I had on the previous before I reran the code. But yeah, that's basically it for my project. Thanks for listening.